in a greater way in the role of UNESCO. But remember, the political will and commitment of the government is also a very important factor in ensuring that.
Hello, good morning, Walter Barrett, JTV News. This question goes out to either one of the Secretary Generals. You spoke about this being a journey, a continuing one, I would anticipate, in regard to assisting other territories that may be slower or even weaker in their launching. What are some of the specifics that you are hoping to see or you anticipate the BVI's UNESCO being able to be a part of, and that would in turn help the wider territory? Some of the specific actions that you're hoping would be taken or started as a result of this meeting?
Well, thanks very much for that very useful question. The bottom line really is for UNESCO to impact the people on the ground, and that includes the student population and the general public on the whole in all of its program areas, including education, natural science, social science, culture, information and communication. Okay? We, as I mentioned before, education for all is one of the main objectives. And in fact, UNESCO is the lead agency to help member states achieve education for all. And when you talk about education for all, you talk about teacher training. We believe it's important for teachers to be continuously trained in order to meet the challenges in the classroom. And this is one specific intervention that is needed, I'm sure, in the BVI. And Alison, being a former teacher herself, will be able to speak about that some more. Because we have many challenges right now with our young boys in particular. I'm sure it's not no different in the BVI. It's around the Caribbean and in some other, even developed countries. And so teacher training and vocational education intervention is also important. We need to make sure that we teach the students in a more informal way in order for them not to be left out of the development and their own personal development. Those are two specific issues that falls on the education. But there are others. For example, the BVI National Commission in fact benefit from what we call the participation program. And we need to strengthen that. And I was told that the documentation center will be launched or open tomorrow. That is a direct assistance from the participation program itself. And all of these initiatives could be funded under the participation program as one of the means of funding from UNESCO. And there are so many others, but I will pass it over to my colleague, Everton, and he could explore some more on that.
Yes, some concrete areas immediately. UNESCO, because of their structure and because of the policy that they implement in member states, there are areas that in implementing this policy can bring additional international recognition to the member state. World Heritage Site is one such area. And I was looking at some possible areas that could be named as World Heritage Sites. I think there's a Mount Healthy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that could be, the media likes to quote, but could be a site that could, become World Heritage. World Heritage Site gives you international recognition. It enhances the additional tourism program that you already have here it increases visitors who just don't necessarily want to visit the sun, the sand and the sea. And therefore that is one possibility. There's also the whole question of the biosphere, and very important here, of our environment as it speaks to climate change. And there's an additional one, Sandwatch. There are additional programs that can speak to the establishing of UNESCO clubs. Those are clubs that can be in schools or an institution or the workplace that seeks to develop the skills young persons in UNESCO's areas, which are education, science, culture, information. And so we could go on and on, but immediately those are some programs. Doesn't need budgetary support, doesn't need any referendum or anything. You can by tomorrow establish a UNESCO club. By next week you can start plans to set up your World Heritage Site. And so these are some of the areas that can come on in a short space of time.
And I think I should mention here as well 2 other meaningful projects that could impact significantly on the young people in particular, and that is the Small Island Voice program, which includes Sandwatch, and this speaks to the issue of climate change and good practices as it relates to the environment. As small island developing states, it's very important for us to sensitize our population and especially the young people about the environment. And I note that, in fact, the BVI is known as the nature's secrets. Do I have it right, Alison?
Nature's little secrets, yes.
And it is crucial for you to keep it this way. As I drove around the island yesterday, I realized the place is so environmentally friendly and so green, you know, and that is very, very good. You have trees and plants everywhere you go in all of the premises and all around, you know. One of the other programs that I would like to see strengthened here, and I think it's already started here, is the Youth Path program, where you can in fact teach the young people, especially those young people who believe that they are marginalized and who live in the rural areas in particular, teach them about their cultural heritage as it relates to tourism. That's important because we know that tourism is your biggest earner, economic earner, and so in order to, it's important to get the young people involved and to sell that, create, as it may, another or enhance your tourism product by introducing this aspect of your culture, your cultural heritage accordingly. So those are 2 other initiatives that I believe, well, we'll be advising Alison about those specifically, about how to really get them up and running and how to strengthen them.
Ms. Archer, how's BVI UNESCO so far?
First of all, thank you for that question. I do have to thank Mrs. Medita Wheatley, who was our first Secretary General in the BVI, and Mrs. Carolyn O'Neill Williams, who is now the Deputy Permanent Secretary under the Ministry of Education and Culture. We also have Dr. Burley, who was also Secretary General in the BVI for a short stint, for the impact that they have made and the pathway that they have paved for me. As both SGs have mentioned, Secretary General Hannum and Maynard, there is so much to do. There's a lot of work left for UNESCO and the BVI to do, and I am just here to put all of that forward. There are tangible and intangible benefits that UNESCO has to offer, and as Secretary General here, I am well and able to do that.
All right, just going to refer this question to you as well, Ms. Flax Archer. Specifically for the viewing audience that is going to, students.